I don't think you're going to do it.
Greetings.
All right, so as I was showing you Sunday, this green part up here is that big park. And so Masindi is right there, that right under the A there. So that's where Emilio is, he's right there. And then...
I'm at camp watching the Uganda video.
So you go across this and then you come down this road back to Kampala. And then halfway down is about where the farm is.
How far is that distance there now, between there and there?
I think it's about 80 or 90 kilometers. So
Okay.
it's not very far, but it takes a long time. They
It's
have
like going down to Vancouver almost.
every little village has speed bumps,
Oh, really?
and I mean you just
You
get
mean
going.
National potholes,
No, they're real speed bumps.
they made them on purpose?
They make them on purpose.
Oh my goodness.
Big
Yeah,
ones.
and big ones too. Big ones, little ones, all kinds of speed bumps.
Because the kids play on the street.
Oh,
Well, there's no kids, but there's sure a lot of people. Everybody's, you know, hawking things and selling things and everything like that. So, yeah, I guess there are a few kids, but mainly it's adults. But
Yeah.
so you got this little bit of space between villages that you can fly at 80 kilometers an hour, but the rest of the time you're slowing down and going slow. But getting out of Kampala is always the big deal because it takes forever.
you got 2 lanes, 4 lanes highways or what?
Mainly just 2 lanes. Yeah, pretty much 2 lanes all the way.
So when you stay at a guest house, that's in Kampala then?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kampala is down in the bottom here. You can see it there, where all the roads lead to Kampala. And then Jinja is over here. So that's where the source of the Nile is. And that's where we went at the end.
What ocean is there just below that?
That is Lake Victoria.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's a huge lake. She was telling me, you know, in Rwanda had their big killing of the Hutus by the Tutsis, or were the Tutsis killed by the Hutus? I can't remember which, but anyway, they threw so many bodies into the river and it all flowed down into the lake,
no, no.
and the fish just thrived,
Oh, right.
but then they caught one and it had a hand in it. And they said nobody would eat any of the fish after that. She said, I haven't eaten them for about 5 years. She said, I just started eating the fish again or something.
Pretty big fish.
Oh, they're huge. Some of those fish are so huge. Saw one on a motorbike, and you know they had it on a motorbike, and the tail was hanging on the ground.
No, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, some big fish, but don't want to eat them when they're eating human beings. Recycling human beings.
It's
Uh-oh.
a huge lake.
Yeah, it's really big.
I think it's the largest one in the world, isn't it? I think so.
Oh, really?
Hello, you're back.
So this is the Nakarimbi guest house, something like that. And those ladies there, they work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Who does?
This lady behind the desk there. And she has a lady that spells her off. And so they work continuously. I said, you guys work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? She said, yeah, this is Uganda. It's expected.
What does she do there? Just look after the house or look after guests or what?
Yeah, she's the receptionist.
Oh, my goodness.
And
But they don't sit, they stand, right?
most of the time they're standing, yeah.
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 They probably do other stuff like cleaning and stuff outside too.
Not really. They have lots of people. Like they have cleaners and they have people working outside, and they have, you know, seem to have too many people in the
But they
restaurant,
got
something like that.
Light at 6 and dark at 6 kind of thing.
I will hold you.
You don't have 12 hours of daylight there much, very much?
It's 7 to 7, I guess, basically.
Huh.
And when it gets dark fast.
It's 5 minutes into the
Dark.
Bang. Blinked, it was.
So that's the guest house from the outside. That's where
That's big.
there's 3 floors, and the bottom floor has a conference room in it.
It's sort of like our motels in one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to a motel.
Yeah.
How many rooms were on each floor?
I'm not really sure. I was in 43, and that was about halfway
Oh,
up the second one, so there must be maybe 70 rooms in there.
Wow.
No, can't be. Maybe 70, somewhere around 65, 70. So this is Campbell at night out the window, so it's a very good view. You're up on a hill. It's the Anglican Hill, so the hill is owned pretty much totally by the Anglican Church, which owns this guest house. Just below us, those red roofs down there is a children's home, and they have a baby home where they rescue babies, and then there's a hospital on the other side of the hill, and a lot of different things there. And there's Campbell in the daytime. Someone said, how come it's so clear? I think because it's rainy season. In the dry season, it's very smoky, I think, but
Smoky,
this is
yeah.
very clear.
When I was there, it was really smoky.
So they have some pretty nice buildings and things. I don't know who owns them. They must be banks or something.
You touched my leg
Attack my leg.
Oh,
You look like a scratchy
with his
post.
claws.
Yeah.
look
trying
like
to
a
get
scratching
miles.
post.
That's the key.
So this is St. Paul's Cathedral in Nakarembe. I snuck up there and took in the last part of their 7 a.m. service. They have a really nice choir that sings really nice. And that's the church. So this is the oldest, I think the oldest church, definitely the oldest Anglican church in Kampala.
Pretty
And
fancy church for.
I thought it was kind of neat. It kind of looks a little bit like ours. Ours is way smaller, of course, but ours has those kind of rafters too.
yeah.
Open means healing.
Yeah.
Electric.
But they did all their ritual stuff and stuff as well. But they say that they're, a lot of the Anglicans are born again and they're into worship and everything. Then the next place we went to was the Lighthouse Christian School. So this is part of the Streams of Living Water School. I can't remember how many students they have, but it's over 200 students.
700?
Over 200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the reason the girls have their shoes off is they were part of the worship team. They were up on the top. They were doing the singing for us. And this is the baby class all lined up to go back to their classroom. Then we went to a public school, and this school, we got there I think at lunchtime or something like that, and so the kids were all outside, so I just started singing songs with them outside and doing actions with them, and they just got right into that. And then a good thing I did that because we only had a few minutes in each classroom. I think we had 10 minutes in each classroom, so we didn't have a chance to do any singing, just to share the gospel and pray with them. So. And this is Tony. Some of you who were at camp might remember Tony. Tony was at camp quite often. And he is now running a church right out there in Nongolo. So this is one of the buildings there that we use for camp. And he's using it as a church. So he has the soundboard or the music in the kitchen. Then that's kind of the living room. And then he has two of the bedrooms he has chairs in there as well. So that packs the house out. But he's working on building a church under the wild mango tree there, just at the entrance. Then this was another pastor that they just planted this church in 2021. So he has a piece of property and he has his poles. That's all he's got though. He doesn't have any walls or rafters or anything, but I think they put out tarps. They have some tarps that they kind of string from the poles for their church. But anyway, we just gathered a bunch of kids together for a children's ministry there. And then we went to McConnell, and this is where Rita has her church. And so this was, we did the children's thing in the Saturday. On Saturday we did a children's thing. So we gathered all the children together and did a children's ministry with them. And then from there we went to the main church. This is the main Streams of Life church, and this was the ordination. So they were going to ordain. So these are the people that were being ordained to the ministry. Most of them are already, well, all of them are already involved in the ministry. And so they are just recognizing their ministry and the gifts that they have and ordaining them to be pastors. And this was Amos. Amos was doing an exam. He's in his very last year of college, and his year is up at the end of or middle of December. So for some reason they scheduled an exam right on Sunday morning. So he was expecting to do his exam and get there, and he didn't get there till right at the end of the service. But he was able to get there at the last minute, so they did a little ordination just for him. And of course, he's Pastor Stanley's son. Pastor Stanley passed away here a while back. If you remember, we helped Pastor Stanley with his church. There had been a big wind, and he had built this church, and then the wind knocked down some of the walls and stuff, so we helped him rebuild that. And so we've had some involvement, and we actually helped purchase a bit of property next door to the church. So when he died, his relatives took back the property where the old school was on, because that's what happens. It all reverts back to the husband's family, and the widow doesn't get anything. But fortunately, the land had been purchased for the church, and then the land next to the church, we helped them purchase that, and so that is where they have the school now. So Amos here, when he's done school, which is like I say at the end of September, he will go back and help his mom pastor. They actually have 2 churches that they pastor. Plus, he's going to help her with the school, and they want to get the school all the way up to a secondary school. And because he's finished his degree, he can lead the secondary school. So his mom will probably lead the primary school, and he'll lead the secondary school. So that's their vision for the future.
Wow.
Those of you who know him can see he sure looks a lot more mature now, doesn't he, than
Yeah.
he used to.
So that the property goes back to the man's side of the family. Are those people believers or?
No, Stanley's parents weren't, and his family wasn't, I don't
Right.
think. Yeah, he kind of got saved, but not much of his family got saved with him.
Tough one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the school is pretty rickety, but it was at least something that could be used. But
I remember looking at the rafters in that school,
yeah,
and all they were was sticks.
yeah,
Like willows, kind of interlaced. And that was the structure for the. They don't have snow loads to worry about or anything. It was pretty flimsy.
and
Well, this
his,
building looks pretty decent.
yeah, this is a very nice building. They have done a good job on this one. Yeah, so Sarah was there, his mom was there, and she was part of she got to share a little bit about, different people get up and share kind of a testimony about what they saw or what they see in the ordinations person's life, the gifting of God and stuff that was in their life. Then we went off to a place called Bondo, no, Bombo, what's a B? All mixed up with all these. Bombo, yes. And it's a mainly Muslim. They say it's somewhere between 95-97% Muslim in this place. But this pastor Charles, who was part of Innocence Ministry, he went out to this place and he started a church. And God started to move. And so this is how many people they already have after 3 months. And a Muslim man has said you can use this property as long as you need it until you get your own property. So they got this little tent and they're having church there. And the couple of them gave a testimony of how Pastor Charles was doing some door-to-door, and he just started sharing with them and how God spoke to them, and they were Muslim women, but they gave their hearts to Jesus. And so it's powerful to see that. The other guy there, the guy in the white shirt, that's Pastor Jeffrey, and he's the one that took us around the prisons. And then Pastor Innocent is seated beside me. So there I'm speaking, and Jeffrey is doing the interpretation. Don't know what that picture is. Nothing. Okay, then after that we did, they had the global mandate, they call it, their conference, and they only did one day this year. They did it on their national holiday. And, oh, that's what that other one was, but for some reason it didn't work. And so this is one of the illustrations Pastor Gerald was using. He was speaking on the fact that we needed to expect great things, or do great things for God, but don't expect great things for yourself. And so he's using the illustration how we have to make ourselves an offering. So he got this big offering, put this guy in it, actually got the lid on top of it and everything. But anyway, it was, oh, how come I must be missing something anyway. But there was just a pile of young people. Every space was filled with people. They had the whole side with chairs. They had the whole balcony was totally covered with chairs. Just totally full of young people and college students, mainly college students. And when he gave the altar call, about 100 students came forward to receive Christ. So it was really, really powerful and just amazing to see. And then after that, they gave another altar call for everyone that wanted to serve God and give their life for serving God. And again, the altar was just full of people, lots of prayer and ministry. So that was an awesome thing to experience. And then after that, we went to this women's conference with at Pastor Innocent's ministry in Kampala. And these were just some of the ladies that helped put it on, put it into place. And this was the conference, Woman of Wisdom Conference. And that's Pastor Innocent's wife, Gloria. She taught on Proverbs 31. She just did a really, really good job of teaching. I thought she did a very good job. And this is their little boy, the one that was sick and we prayed for. And he's doing real well. And as I showed you, he had his own little guitar there that he could play along with. He loved that. So this is one of the dorms that they have right now. Or no, this is a school. That's the school, so that's where the school kids are learning. Showed you the pineapple already. And then we gathered the kids. They have this little gazebo that they had built. And so we gathered in there with the kids and did a little ministry to their school kids there and prayed with them and stuff. This is Pastor Daniel. I don't have very many pictures of Pastor Daniel, but he was with us most of the time. He is he took over the ministry in Kampala after Pastor Innocent got sick. He's only 25 years old, but he's just, wow, just a powerful man of God. So I spent quite a bit of time with him and just sharing a whole lot of stuff with him. He had lots of questions about ministry, and so got to share with him quite a bit.
Some of these people, like that 25-year-old, was he involved with the orphanage 10 years ago?
Yeah, he was a street kid. Yeah, and he came up through the, and that's what's quite amazing that they accepted him as pastor when Pastor Innocent chose to put him into that place. But his ministry is so evident that it seemed like the people accepted him. Yeah, that's quite something. And then they killed the goat for us. So there's the goat all skinned out, ready to go. And so that same night they put goat on a stick and cooked it over the fire. So we had these little shish kebabs. We each got a stick with goat on it that we ate. And it was okay, kind of chewy, but wasn't bad. Not much seasoning on it or anything. And then the next morning we had goat offal. And goat offal is awful. Looks awful, smells awful, tastes awful. It is awful, but they seem to like it. So I took a little piece and I cut it up and I swallowed it whole. Didn't want to chew it. But then they had other stuff, so I ate that for breakfast. But they seem to love it. I don't know why. It's just like bum guts here, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they're, as we mentioned, they're building this, so this is going to be the next dormitory for the kids that are coming in from
Is that a rock spot up there?
Campbell. These are the bricks that they made, so the kids actually made these during the lockdown. They spent time making bricks.
You
And
looking
they
at
made,
the wall or the pile of rubble
I think
beside
it
it?
said something 15,000 bricks or something they
Those
made.
are bricks that they.
They're all bricks, the
Yeah.
piles of.
Yeah, all bricks that they made.
That's amazing that they would do that. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah,
One at a time.
Sure, you know, like I had this impression that the people didn't do anything, but that's not true at all.
no, it isn't true. That's
You
for
know, they
sure.
were-
These are very industrious people.
They
They're
are.
working with what they've got.
They work twice as hard as we do to make something.
Yeah.
And the great thing is they had the bricks, and then they have sand on their property, so they didn't have to buy sand, and they have poles that they're going to need for the rafters, and they have water, so they have a lot of what they needed to get started on this building. And like I say, the pressure is really on him to get this building built. So
Yes.
Is that on their own land there or what?
yeah, this is right on their farm there.
Mhm.
So it's right next to the other dorm there, I guess. This is one of the dorms that they already had made.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, and then they have the rooms inside. Yeah, so it's really quite you know, when they do the brickwork, it looks terrible, but then when they put that extra coat of cement on the outside of the bricks, it actually looks pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like a nice house.
yeah. And there are their bunks inside there.
Do they plaster the inside of the bricks too?
Yeah.
Like on the inside
Yeah.
of the
Usually they
walls?
will. Yeah.
Just plastered on
So that's what where they're kind of at now, and then their inner walls and everything they're doing. And yeah, somehow I got these all mixed up because we're back in Bondo again. Bombo. So then we headed off to the prisons. So this is one of the prisons here. It wasn't too far up the road that we went to this one, and went inside. We were able to minister at this particular prison. And the prisons were just amazing. They didn't want us to take many pictures of the prison because of privacy and stuff, I guess. So I just snapped this one quickly as we were getting there. Of course, it's right on the edge of a main road, so this one you could actually take a few pictures, I guess. But the amazing thing about these prisons is that many of the people that run the prisons are born again, are Christians, and they are so open to have people come in and minister to their inmates. And their inmates, there's many Christians that are already Christians inside these prisons. And so they have organized themselves into churches inside the prison. And they have pastors, and they have ushers, and they have song leaders, and everything like that. And so it's really something to see.
there. That is a typical driveway there.
Yeah, everything is washed out. And of course it's rainy season now, so it all gets washed out quite a bit. So I'm going to just move the camera for a minute because they don't want us to put these guys' pictures on social media. That's just another picture of the prison, one of the work farm prisons. So we went to a work farm prison, and that's one of their barns, but they didn't allow me to take any other pictures there. And this was another prison that we went to. Just snapped a picture of the sign as we were leaving. This is the one that so they had a women's prison and they had a man's prison. So the first time we went there, we went to where the women's side was, and they were all crammed into this small little bit building there. But again, they really received the word of God and everything. When they have a baby, the baby stays there until they're 5 years old. So they look after their kids till 5 years old. They have some social services, I think, but nobody will take the kids until they're 5 or something. So kids live right there in the prison with the mothers. So this is the one where in this prison, the inmates themselves have built this chapel, and so they were given permission to build this chapel. The guy facing us there is the pastor, and so he pastors this church inside the prison. And most of these guys inside here are Christians and very eager. And then there was lots of people on the outside listening in, and there's a Muslim and a Catholic and different people outside listening in. And when we prayed the prayer, they prayed with us. And it's pretty amazing. This guy's name is Cyrus, and he's part of the ministry there. And so they really didn't want us to take pictures, but they were willing to send out these pictures to us because there's such a need for Bibles, and the some of these Christian leaders of the prisons, they really are looking for some people to provide Bibles for these inmates so that they can study the Bible. One of the leaders of we went to this big prison. It was 1,500 people in the prison, and in this courtyard, they must have had 1,000 prisoners sitting out in this courtyard in the hot sun. And we got there late because we had been in another prison, and they actually willingly delayed their lunch for a whole hour just so they could stay and they could listen and hear the Word of God. So it was really amazing. And the guy, one of the leaders of the prison, he told us, he said, because we have a reputation in this prison of having the most disciplined prisoners, and he said it's because we allow the gospel in here, and many of these prisoners know Christ, and that's why we have such good discipline in our prison. So they really see the effect of the gospel. It's so different than what we see. You know, even the guards and the inmates, they have such a good relationship, and they honor each other as brothers in Christ. It's really, really something.
Awesome.
So different than what we see in our prisons, where there's such animosity between the inmates and the guards and everything like that. So it was definitely an experience to be involved in. The conditions are not really that bad, partly because I guess they live in a warm country, and so they're not dungeons or anything, but they definitely are crowded, and they don't always have enough food, although each of these prisons seem to are work farms, and the one prison they're growing food for all the other prisons and stuff. But they definitely have a lot of needs that they don't always have taken care of. The government doesn't provide a lot for the prisoners. All right, so one of the joys was to see my boys that were part of the camp and part of the ministry that we were doing when we were there. They were our helpers when we go out in the neighborhoods and gather kids and stuff like that. So this is Gary. Gary has stayed in contact with me all through the last 3.5 years. He's always calling me or writing me or something. And so he's finished school, and he's studying to be an electrician. And Dominic is he's very, very creative. If you remember Sadat, he used to do all those dances with Sadat, all those crazy dances and stuff. So he's quite a dancer. But he's also an incredible artist and a graphic designer, and he studied videography and stuff like that. So he's finding some work designing, painting, helping people design houses, different things like that, and some graphic design too. So this is one of his drawings here,
Wow.
kind of half done. He showed us some beautiful pictures, but I don't have any pictures of those, but this is one I found on his Facebook.
I have one on my wall at home.
Yeah? Oh, okay. He's a very good artist. And then, what's her name?
Did you, Rita?
Rita, yes, Rita. So Rita was the one that was driving me around. She was given a car. And so this is her church where in Makano, that she started, I believe 2 years ago now. And so and this is one of her boys, Bright. And he was with us on he's joining our Bible school. So he was with us on Tuesday and joined for our first lesson there. So it's really good to have him. He's not too old, but his mom gave us a testimony of how he was involved in drugs and alcohol, and she invited him to church, and he finally decided to come, and God has totally changed his life. now he's part of the worship team, and Rita leans on him quite a bit to help set up and everything. So awesome young man. And these are the kids that were gathering together for the kids that we did thing that we did. It was just pouring rain that day, and just poured all the time. So that's why a lot of the kids ended up not coming because of the rain. But
You got
pretty good.
flooring in there.
Pardon me?
What's the flooring like in there with the floor?
No, these would be cement, but
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Do they teach English in these schools?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, English is being taught in all the schools. If you go to school, you learn English.
So this is not a private school though? Is it public school or private school?
Yeah, there's not many public schools. They're all pretty much private.
Oh, really?
The government has a few schools, but they're very...
So the private ones are mostly Christian schools then?
Yeah, there's Muslim schools and I guess some secular NGOs would run some schools too, but
Okay.
I would say Christian schools are the primarily of some sort or another. So this is their worship team, and they had a couple of kids on the worship team.
Lots of
for the
kids
worship.
don't go to school there either.
Well,
No, I don't know what the percentage would be now, but there'd be a large percentage that didn't. Maybe 40% that don't,
Yeah.
especially out in the country.
Is Rita the one in the blue and red?
No, she wasn't in that picture.
Oh.
The one in the flat printed, what would that be, a leopard shirt dress there. She came from Capella with us. She just came with Rita to help. But the girl in the blue there, she's from McConnell and part of the ministry team. And that's Rita in the pink there. Helping along. So there are some adults that are part of it, but it's kind of good portion are children, and that she's reaching, and that's kind of always been her heart to minister to children, work with children.
Is that the one that had the, no, it was, who had the dream about the children?
That was Gerald's wife, Diana.
Oh, okay.
And there's a couple of the kids. They were all sisters, three sisters. And I got everything mixed up, so anyway, we'll have to just go with the flow.
Whatever it is.
We'll have this up. So hopefully it all works. Anyway, okay, so yeah, anyway, this is Emilio and Marion, and her Bible, and their little girl, Emma.
These pictures are so
Ella.
much easier to see today than what you had.
Yes, I know, it was hard to see in the daylight. And all the group here. So he just told us on Tuesday that the lady on the right there, she had a baby. So she just had a baby boy on the weekend. So they're scrambling to try and find another teacher to replace her for the month of November. And then they have 2 months off, and so she'll be back after that to help teach again. And as we mentioned, the 3 little girls there, the two that are dressed the same are twins. And the other are just kids that they've kind of picked up that live around there and come to go to school. Some of them are staying with them, but I'm not sure how it all works out.
Am I seeing things right? There's 2 little boys on the one end there. Do they have really big feet or really big shoes?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be just the way the picture's taken. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Could be oversized shoes just because whatever they have.
Or they have to wear.
Okay, so you don't necessarily notice it when you're up there looking at it?
No.
Didn't notice it. No.
Okay.
So here's 133 kids that they have in this school. So this school has the baby, the middle, the top, and the primary. So they have the four classes in this school. So this is actually, you get to the school before you get to the village, and it's a little ways out of the village on the property there. And those are the water system and the cups and everything I was telling you about. For some reason the videos are not working. Shoot. Oh, I know why. I don't there's anything I can do about it. No, I don't think so. It's not good. Anyway, so as we mentioned, the property that we purchased a month ago surrounds the school. So there's this part, and then there's a part on this end, and then there's a really thin strip at the back of the school. And then it's all planted into different crops and things like that. So those crops will be harvested by the people who planted them, and then Emilio will be able to use this for growing food for the school, for the students and different things. So they have corn kind of in the back there, and then I think there's beans here, and then he's planning to do a bit of a banana plantation in the other part to begin with anyways. And then this is the second school, and so this is kind of the first school that we helped build, and this is where they have the older classes, so this goes up to P7. So yeah, it has P4, 5, 6, and 7 I guess would be in this one. Very rustic school, but it works. A lot of I noticed other schools as we were driving around too, that there's a lot that look very much similar to this one. And so they have quite a big field there for playing. They have a soccer field. And the village is just, you can see that in the background there, is the village. And so we ministered to these kids as well, and shared the gospel with them and prayed with them. And that's Elio there in the front. And then they all packed in there to listen. They do listen very well, and this was a place where I said, I think we need an interpreter, and so he said, "Do you need an interpreter? Do you want me to interpret it into Ugandan?" They said, "No, interpret into English," because he couldn't understand my English. But he ended up doing it into Ugandan anyways. Okay, and then we mentioned that this is their other school in the back of their house there, and where they have the classes, and these kids are all going to school right now, and they're going to add some more students to this school next semester.
They got a good deal on some orange paint.
Yeah, that's right.
Orange and yellow.
And there's some pink inside. It looks like even the roof is done in pink.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely wanted a colorful school.
Well, they always do that though.
Yeah, most of the schools are like,
Yeah, they're already.
a lot of the ones in
bright
Capella.
colors.
Yeah.
Even the schools are always bright.
So at the first school, we gathered them all. We came back. This is the second time back. We came back again to the next day to minister to them. So we went out and saw the school and prayed around or walked around it and stuff like that when the students basically were there. And then we came back this time to minister to students. So what the younger classes come in the morning and the older classes come in the afternoon, I think is how it worked. But so they gathered at noon hour. They got all the kids together and had them all outside, and so that we could minister to them and share with them. And then we gave out the wonderful dresses, girls in their dresses. We separated the girls and the boys. The girls went into one area, and while they were giving out the dresses, we took the boys into the other area and gave them candies and stickers. And tried to keep them in there until the girls were done. And then we took some of the kids, some of the girls home. They have a long way to walk to get to school. Some of the kids walk long distances. And so we stopped there, and this was where they live. They live in this little thatched hut and room here, and that's their mom. Cooks outside and takes care of them there. So it's a fairly poor area. A lot of the kids live in not so great conditions, but they're happy to have a school. And before Emilio started his school, some of them walked all the way to another village, miles and miles, just to go to school.
Wow.
And this is another school. This is actually, I I'm not sure if it's a government school, but it's more qualified than Emilio's. So Emilio is qualified enough, they accept what he does, but when you get to P7, you have to candidate, so you have to take these special government tests, and so his school is not allowed to give that test, so he's developed a relationship with this school, and it's quite a ways away, especially by car. He says there's a walking route that you can take that's a bit of a shortcut, but anyway, we went to this school, and so their P7s who are going to take their exams here on the 7th and 8th of, so that's next week, I think, they'll be walking over to this school and taking their exams along with their P7s, and so then it'll be official. So anyway, they invited us there to minister to their kids, so we got an opportunity to share the gospel with these kids as well. And they wanted us to take a selfie together, so we did. Now, these are some of the deaf people that Emilio works with. He is a whiz with languages. And so he had to actually learn a new language when he came into this village. Because they speak a different language there, at least a majorly different dialect. And so he has learned that language, and he's able to interpret into that language. And he's also learned sign language. So in the past year, he's been learning sign language because he got to know these deaf people. And so he had me kind of share a little bit of the Bible with these people while he was doing the signing. He was doing the interpreting.
Wow.
I thought it was quite amazing how much he knows. And but they help him learn. Sometimes if he can't get something, he'll spell it out because he's learned the alphabet, and then they will tell him what the word is in sign language. So that's how he's learning some of the different words and stuff like that, increasing his vocabulary. But anyway, both these were pretty much born deaf. Their little girl can hear. Their kids, they have a few kids, and they can hear. So they live in the family compound here. There's with their other family, but they just love it because hardly anybody knows how to do sign language, and most people won't even take the time. And so Emilio comes and takes time with them, and they just really appreciate him coming and having a conversation with them and sharing with them. And these two sisters are also deaf. The one lady, the lady in the darker blue there, she was from another community, and there, became a Christian there. But she said she would go to church, but she couldn't hear anything, she couldn't understand, and nobody knew how to do sign language, and she found it very difficult. And she said it's really hard to find a church that does any sign language, does any signing. And so she's really thankful that they have this Christian fellowship with Emilio, that they can get together for Christian fellowship with someone who can sign and stuff. And there I am with the kids. I was giving them some of the arch books on my computer, reading them some stories, loving that. Then we went to Pastor Paul's church, and way back, when did he say that you may remember, they were getting kicked off the property of the church where they were having church because it didn't belong to them. And so they had to move, and it was just after I'd been there, maybe the second time, and so we helped them raise money to buy the property, and also there was enough left over what we were able to raise that they were able to begin building their church, and so they built this church on that property, and they have it pretty much finished now. Windows and doors. I wish they wouldn't have put any windows in there because it's the hottest church. Anytime we go there, it's so hot. It's just terrible. But actually, this time it wasn't quite so bad. Of course, there was just a small number of people because it was during a weekday and rainy season, which helps. But their children's their school is in the back. They just have a couple small rooms in the back that they are using for their school right now. So these are all the kids that they have. I think they just do baby class in P1 or something. And so they all just came outside under the shade of the tree, and we did a children's program with them and shared with them. But off to this side, they've begun to build a classroom, and the pastor's also building a house right next door. So we had supper or lunch inside the house, but the whole upper floor is not done. They're still working on that and everything. But he is a builder. He knows how to do brickwork and everything like that. So he's doing it all. A lot of it he's doing himself. And that's the pastor's wife in the red back there. And this is her shop. So in front of the church, she has this shop where she sells things out of her shop, and makes some money that way. Alrighty, and then we went to Pastor Sam's and did a kids crusade at Pastor Sam's. So he rented a couple of tents, and we got piles and piles of kids. It's right near where the water comes out, and so kids are always going by there to get water, and they see what's going on. They run their water back home, and they come back. Just filled up the tent as full as it could get. So we had the boys come and join us. So Gary, I got him to share the gospel with the kids and lead them to the Lord. And then later on, I shared some other stories with them. And Sam is in the back there. He came to help, and Bobby's quite a good interpreter, so he likes to jump in and interpret when he's around. He's doing some actions. It's Pastor Sam on my left there. Singing, actions. The kids did a really good job on the actions. Of course, it really helps when I have my helpers who can do the actions really well, because then the kids catch it a lot easier than when you don't have somebody doing that. And there's a Sam. Sam has a beard. He's happy to come and help us. And unfortunately, the videos aren't working. Shoot. That's some nice videos of the kids dancing. And then we went to Jinja. Is this in Jinja? No, this isn't in Jinja. Where is this? This is a church plant out of Streams of Life. I can't remember where. But they are kind of half children, half adults, and the kids all sit on one side and the adults sit on the other side. And so we did some action songs with them, and the adults just loved it. They really got into it too. And then we shared a message that was with lots of stories and stuff in it that both the adults and the kids could receive from. And so it was a really good time there. And then there's Bobby. He said, I want to come and accompany you. So he came and accompanied me. So he helped with the actions, and then he was giving out stickers at the end. And then we went to Jinja. And so in Jinja, yeah, this is a factory where some of the people work in. I don't know how I got these all mixed up. But anyway, behind this house, we did an outdoor service under a tree, that big tree that's behind there. A bunch of people gathered under the tree, and he said, well, just come and share. And so we did one before this, and it was mainly Christian people, but this one I could tell there were some unsaved there, so we shared the gospel and invited them to receive Jesus, and a number of them did. And had a good time ministering in the outdoors. Yes, some of my pictures have disappeared. I don't know what happened. Weird what goes on. So anyways, I showed you on Sunday we have some projects. We have to raise the rent for Emilio's children home and school, $4,800 by January. Innocence Children's Dorm that he's working on, still needs some help with that. Bibles for prisoners, and then we have the vanilla beans for Rita. So she after I got back here, she told me that her transmission is going in her car, and so she has to fix it. So the money I'm sending back for the vanilla beans are going to help her keep her car, get her car fixed. She put some more vanilla beans in the mail, so we'll see if they make it over here or not. And I'll pray that they get through customs and everything like that without any trouble.
So long as she doesn't write vanilla beans on the package.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't smell them.
Yeah, put them in a good glass bag.
They're not allowed to ship them, or?
No,
I
it's,
don't know.
it's food.
It's food, it's got seeds in it, you're not allowed to bring them from country to country.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you smuggle them, Larry, when you brought them in home?
No,
They saw them and they just said, "What are these?" I said, "Vanilla beans." Okay.
Oh, they didn't,
They didn't take them.
oh,
They
that's,
took my rocks.
oh
You
no.
can't take rocks. I don't know why you can't take rocks. That one makes no sense.
I have pet rocks and they go,
I put rocks in my suitcase and never told anybody anything.
Well, the scanner picked up the rocks, and then I
You
want to
must
look.
have more rocks than I did.
Yeah, probably they were bigger than yours. Probably.
Mhm.
Yeah, you took rocks from the Nile.
Yeah.
the Nile drying up too, just be crazy. Crazy.
The Nile isn't drying up. It's huge. Yeah. And
Crazy is dried up now.
they're supposed to. The Russians are going to help them make their power plant there on the Nile 10 times larger. To do 10 times as much electricity as they're doing right now. So they're going to kick that off here pretty soon. So the water comes right out of the lake, and then they have a dam there because there was a falls there, and so that's where they use for generating electricity, and they figure they can do 10 times as much as they're doing now. So.
That'll be good for that area, eh?
Yeah. So my strategy monthly missions report, offering on the Friday that we're doing the worship night. We'll take an offering for missions for the split between us and Anne's missionary mission. And if we get permission to do that, a spaghetti dinner, a fundraiser. We're thinking of planning and putting on with Glad Tidings, and then a yard sale in the spring. We might do a joint yard sale with Glad Tidings as well, like we used to do with Jeff, and use some of those things to help us raise some money for some different projects over in Uganda. I don't know how I lost a whole bunch of things in the translation. Those are all somebody saw before. All right, so that's the whole story. Story of Uganda. Any other questions?
Did you ever get did Emilio get a pump for the well too, or does he still have to rent them?
He has to rent the, he has the pump, but he has to rent the generator.